So hit the record button here. Yeah, legs are feeling good, Mike.
Never better.
Okay.
You push yourself, and you know, when you're used to it, when you get used to it, you feel good doing that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. Hey, Jennifer in Seattle. Welcome everybody to another club meeting from No Sunday Scaries Club. Great to see everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for having your cameras on too. It's awesome to see smiling faces every Sunday. Mike, how are you? Legs are good. Otherwise, everything good?
I feel amazing, Jake. Good to be here with you, man.
Okay. Good. Oh, my mom's joining. I love when my mom comes. This is great. So just a couple quick announcements before we get down to business. First and foremost, especially for those listening on the podcast right now, you're going to want to check out the YouTube of this one because there's some visual aids for the first time. We're introducing tonight with Katie's story. We need to do some visual aids. So thank you, Katie, for sharing. So if you to find our YouTube channel, all I like to do is just go to our website, nosundayscaries.club, and there you can find the link to the YouTube page and of course to Spotify where you can listen to the podcasts. So new episodes released every Sunday of the previous week. So if you missed one, you can tune right in. No sweat. For those who are first timers here at the club, just want to share our mission, and it's quite simple. We feel like on Sunday nights, as the sun starts to set, sometimes different emotions start to arise in folks, and we just wanted to create a place where people could come on a Sunday night with their family, with their kids, with their nephews, nieces, whomever, and just be around other people who are excited about life or are working together to be excited about life. So, a couple different ingredients of our formula, and we want to share some inspiration, some education, and some socialization. And that's what the club's all about. So each week we bring on a different speaker. And again, would love if you know people that you want to feature on here. If you want to be featured on here, let us know. Today, it's really a privilege to have one of my closest friends and one of my heroes in life actually on the call. So I get to interview her and ask her some questions. But before we get to that, I want to just share a little exercise to get us going, a little participation. Sky Michael, shout out to one of the contributors of the pod here. He for my birthday, he gave me the book, The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins, and working my way through it. And really, really fascinating take on what we can do. Actually, what I now do while I'm brushing my teeth, I actually give myself a high five in the mirror. And some interesting science behind Mike's laughing at me. I know it's weird, but she talks about investing the time that you're doing generally nothing but brushing your teeth, kind of wandering around in circles in your bathroom, and turn that into a moment where you can actually pour into yourself and give yourself some motivation. And I now do it throughout the day. So every time I'm in front of a mirror, checking out my hair, I'll just take a quick second and for the OCD people on the call who are already thinking about leaving smudges on their mirror, it's okay. You don't have to touch the mirror. You can just get close and it's okay. I'm actually going for it though. I'm leaving fingerprints, and it's something I actually want to teach my kids. So I thought it would be cool. Maybe there's some people on the call right now that could use a high five. I thought it'd be neat. There's, a good number of folks on the call. If we go just do a big group high five to get some energy. Mike, your mouth is wide open. Do you want to have a question?
I'm just thinking like at the airport or at the restaurant, like just doing that, like in front of other people in the bathroom when you're washing your hands after you use the bathroom.
She talks about that. She just goes for it. That's her MO. I may in the airport, for example, may not do that, or maybe not touch the mirror, but I will take that moment to reflect and do like, I'm awesome. I'll give myself a high five. So for those, just bear with me here. Just let's get through this together. If this is annoying for you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do a high five. Big high five. Zoom high five. So check it out. If you're interested, Mel Robbins, I like her writing style. It's a great fun read. So check it out. And it's actually a great one to share with your kids. If you're raising kids or around other folks who have kids, it's a great thing to share. Build some positivity. Which is actually a segue into our conversation tonight with Katie Longhauser. Katie, thanks so much for being here. First of all, this is awesome. This is family time, I know, and appreciate you carving it out. I used the term earlier, hero, and I want to go back because I'm actually serious about that. It's not a word I'm just throwing around. Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. You didn't know I was going to do this, but what's your definition of a hero, or the heroes in your life? How do you define them?
Oh man, I guess just like right off the cuff, heroes are people that inspire me to be better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what I added to that, because obviously I had more time to think about than you, sorry about that, was that these are people that do things that are scary to me and they do it anyway, and that's why I wanted to share, Katie's energy with everyone tonight. We crossed paths years ago, through a business entity we were both working with at the time. And I was taken aback by not only her professional achievements in life, not only her personal achievements in life, and how she is the heart of her family, and just an amazing marriage and children. But that she has this competitive streak in her too, that comes out. And I want to ask her some questions about that. And just she's so many things on her list she wants to achieve. And I know there's a lot of people on this call that can relate to that, of trying to counterbalance everything. And so I want to introduce someone who I look at and I put on a pedestal, and I know, and she'll, for doing a lot of that, for having so many awesome competing priorities. And so, Katie, thanks for coming and sharing some of your story with us tonight.
Sure. I'm flattered to be here. And like the introduction is like, whoa, Jake, you're going to make me cry.
She also cries a lot like me. So that might happen too.
I do.
So let's start at the beginning, just kind of set the stage. Can you share a little bit about where you're from and maybe a little bit about your family? Cause you're part of a big crew.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Katie Longhauser. I live in Overland Park, Kansas. It's pretty close to the Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas line. Lived here my whole life. I'm a mom of 3 little ones, married to my husband. We've been married together 24 years, married 14. So it took a while, but I wasn't ready. Anyways, we have kids that are 9, 7, and 4. So it's a little crazy here, but I'm also from a large extended family. So I'm one of 6 children, actually 7. My parents adopted my nephew when he was quite young. So we have a very complex, large family, and lots of opinions, lots of different personalities. So you kind of have to find your way and find your niche in this world, right? So
and you have a twin, identical.
I have a twin.
Right?
Yep.
And where are you both on the order?
So I'm number 2. She's number 3.
Got it. Awesome. Okay. And where does she live now? She's
here in Kansas City as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just curious too, what were the conversations like at the dinner table? So many people, I know a little bit about the background of some entrepreneurship with your father and the business your family started, but what were conversations like when you were growing up?
It probably depended on the day. So we grew up in a family where every Sunday night was family dinner, and we all 6 kids, big table. Is actually funny. 3 were right-handed, 3 were left-handed of the kids. So we could easily sit on 3 on one side, 3 on the other. So we didn't bump, right and left hands hit. And then parents on the end. And it was always steak on Sunday nights and potatoes and, whatever. So very traditional. Nice. I did not like steak, but I had to eat it because my dad, he was very proud that we had steak on Sunday nights. But conversations, were, I don't know. When my dad worked a lot because he's a self-made businessman and was gone a lot. So a lot of our family dinners were my mom cooking and all of us kids. And then Sunday nights were very distinctly just family, and dad, would kind of he was head of the table, right? So he kind of dominated the conversations, but I don't really remember specific conversations, but I just remember the family meals, right? I just remember that was a very solid part of our upbringing.
That's amazing. And then, so going into collegiately, you competed athletically, correct?
Yes. Yes. So in college, I ran cross country and track at a Division I school. My twin and I both did. It was kind of interesting because we would run relays and people would be like, "Hey, she just ran." Oh, wait, no, they didn't know we were twins. So it was kind of funny. We look a lot alike. So we ran cross country and track both on scholarship, and then we did it all 4 years, which was a really challenging commitment in and of itself because it was a full-time job. When you run fall is cross country, indoor in the winter for track, indoor track, and then the spring is outdoor track, and then all summer you train. So it's literally you are churning and burning all the time.
There's going to be a kind of a theme as we talk to you here about competitive juices flowing through you. I'm curious, at what age did you recognize them? And would you have described yourself as a competitive person? I mean, obviously you competed, but do you describe yourself that way? Because I know I view you that way.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. I think growing up with a family of 6 children and having a twin, we were athletic. We all competed, like played soccer in the backyard. I wanted to be the best on the field, and, I wanted to stand out. Kelly, my twin, did better than me. I wanted to stand out. So we were kind of competed against each other. And then also for attention. I mean, growing up in a large family, you compete for attention because mom and dad are so busy. Their time is divided. So we've always been competitive in everything that we do, and not in a bad way. It's just kind of who we are. All my siblings are that way.
And so take us through it. So you graduate. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Drake.
Drake. Okay, great.
Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah.
And so after you graduate Drake, what happens next?
So I graduated from Drake, and then actually we had my now husband lost his father very suddenly, and we had some life changes. So I was going into the law school route, and then I kind of decided to put a pause on the fast pace of life and kind of reevaluate what I wanted and figure out, because my time was very much committed to my sport, and I didn't have a lot of freedom to make choices to like go to a yoga class, to go to go study abroad. Like I didn't have those freedoms because I was committed to my sport. And so when we graduated college and my husband, now husband, lost his father, it was like, pause. What really matters in life? Like, what am I running towards? And does that really make me happy? And will that create a life that'll be happy and proud of? And does it align with my values? So I actually became a personal trainer and Pilates instructor and kind of just worked one-on-one with people and made really solid relationships with some of the clients that I had. And that was really meaningful to me because I think I felt disconnected from that, because it was always go, go, go. And all of a sudden it was connection. And I think I craved that connection because I saw loss, and how it was very sudden loss. And so I think I really craved that. So I did that for 4 years, and then realized I didn't know enough about the body and went back to school because I was like, I want to help people. I want to become a nurse. And I actually wanted to go to medical school, but I didn't want to be in school that long. So I went to an accelerated BSN and became a nurse, and then went right into nurse practitioner program, and specifically in cardiac, because my husband's dad died of cardiac disease. So very suddenly from a massive MI. So I went straight towards where I found there was a problem, and I wanted to be able to, fix it, right? Like find out how to predetermine, this could happen. I wanted to see the risk factors and understand how to prevent that from happening. So I went towards that.
What was the experience like for you working in that environment?
I liked helping people. I liked being around people. I liked understanding and knowing the body and understanding the pathophysiology. I did not like sitting behind a computer screen and charting because healthcare had become so much of that. I did not like the 12 to 14-hour shifts where it felt like prison, white walls, you couldn't leave. I realized then when I left healthcare after 5 years, because we started our family and I wanted to be home with our kids. And that's when the entrepreneur bug kind of took hold of me. And I realized my brain is really wired in that way, more wired to be creative, to be, and I don't know, it's entrepreneurial. It's more than a clinical setting. I'm not clinically minded, if you will. My brain doesn't work that way. So I felt much more fulfilled being able to be home as a mom, and then pouring my energy into growing a company, to business development, to sales. Like that was more that filled me up, and it resonated with me. My dad was an entrepreneur and very successful. And I think growing up, I thought I believed, which I didn't know was probably a subconscious belief, female caretaker, more of that role. But I really have that same drive that I witnessed in my father. So I really have the mindset similar to him, which I didn't think I had. But
interesting. Yeah. And so what happens next?
Actually, started a couple businesses, worked with my husband, and then we crossed paths in the coaching world, and then have also am co-founder and part owner of a company with one of our dear friends. It's a virtual assistant company. So Again,
Yes.
it checks all the boxes of being home, helping people. So helping business owners find really, talented people to help support them with all their business needs. Because being a business owner, I know, the downfalls of trying to do it all yourself and wearing all the hats.
Yep.
And then helping them recruit amazing talent. So we recruit amazing like VAs, virtual assistants that can help them support their business needs. So I love that I'm helping both sides, the business
Yep.
owner and a virtual assistant, find work where they can, maybe they require flexibility like I need and I desire. So
okay, you've competed at a high level, you've started multiple businesses, you've changed careers a few times, you're raising small children, and a couple of years ago you decide that you want to become a bodybuilder. Walk us through how that happened.
Yeah. So I never envisioned being a bodybuilder ever. I always thought like, no way. There's no way. I don't have the physique, whatever. I'm too shy. I'm a very modest, very shy person, like covered up all, like that's just not me. But I actually, in my past, being a runner, eating disorder was very prominent in the running world. And I too struggled with it. To this day, like, obviously I've had kids and I've been on the other side of it, but old patterns of thinking die hard, right? It's a mindset that's hard to break because there's certain beliefs you have about yourself and, about your body and about food. Like there's just certain, things that you believe. And so I was frustrated that I found myself kind of back in that mindset and being afraid of like feeding my body. And so I was running all the time and working out. I've always worked out. I've never not worked out, right? 9 months pregnant, still ran, like up until the day I delivered. But you get to a point where you can't run all the time. Your body starts breaking down. So I started to look at other ways I could work out. So I would go to like a lifting class and like a high intensity interval training class. Love that. So I was like, okay, I'm adding weights and all that stuff and my body's like responding to it, but I'm not seeing results. I'm not seeing the results. And I realized it was like my inability to get past these fears with food. Like I wasn't fueling my body enough. I wasn't fueling it with the right things. So I hired a nutritionist and started working with him and a nutrition coach. And it kind of changed my mindset. Like, holy cow, I've been doing it wrong forever. Like once I let go of the fear, I could see I was blind to all the things I was missing. And so once I started working with him, I was like, okay, so I started lifting really heavy and I'm seeing all of my body changing and not like lean muscle changing, like building muscle and getting bigger and mass. And it was like, okay, well, what if I decided to do something really scary? Like what if, because I'm shedding this old way of thinking, one way, and part of that old way of thinking is like, you don't accept yourself. Like you're hiding yourself all the time. That's kind of like I guess that's what an eating disorder is. There's shame and you hide, you don't like yourself. And so for me, the opposite of that, what is the exact opposite of that? Standing on stage, owning who I am and being proud of who I am. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So I went towards it. So I told the nutrition coach has a history of working with people in the bodybuilding world. So I was like, his name's Corbin. I go, okay, Corbin, if I were to maybe have this goal, what would that look like? And so we reverse engineered like, okay, we probably need 6 months to get into that shape. So that's what we did. I was like, okay, like I was stepping in a swimsuit and like, practice posing, scariest thing I've ever done probably, but getting on stage even worse. So it's like the whole thing was so scary and so uncomfortable, but I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
By the way, for our live audience here, feel free to chat in questions if and whenever you want. We'll relay them. But is it really it was really just that simple? It was like, okay, so the opposite of what the most scary possible thing, I'm going to just go and do that. It was just that simple for you? Just snap the finger?
I think pretty much. I mean, honestly, like for me, I had known people who had been in that world and competed, and I'm like, man, they look amazing. Like, how can you get your muscle? How do you have muscle like that? How do you do that? And so part of me was just like, I know I can lift a lot of weight. I know I can bench and squat and, do like lateral raises and do all this shoulder work. I know I have the strength. What's missing? So I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And so I just told like Corbin, I was like, okay, let's do this. And again, I have a twin sister and she still struggles with her anorexia. And for me, it's like, it's gut wrenching. So for me and other people who have been in my shoes or the shoes of an eating, like struggled with eating disorder, for me, stepping on stage was telling them like, you can get on the other side. You can get on the other side and not be trapped with the scary thoughts and the fear, and you can be stronger than ever. You might look better than ever, but it's not about that. It's about taking your fears and kicking them to the curb and, I don't know, seeing what's possible.
Katie, I just want to take a beat here and understand timeline, because I'm sure that there was a fairly long process that you committed to get from the point where you recognize that you needed to see a nutritionist for your eating disorder, and then to the point where you're on stage. So can you just kind of break down that timeline? How long are we talking about?
Sure. Well, it's a good point. I mean, to be honest, like the eating disorder is something that I've like worked with and worked on, and, for like, since I probably like my 20s, but I started with Corbin in October of 2020. And then September of 2021 is when I went on stage. So we went into a building, like we figured out my macros and did all that. And I think I decided in March or April that I was going to go on stage. So that's when we reversed it, or, went into like change my diet to get stage ready. But it was fast.
Yeah. Yes, very fast. How did the pandemic change anything in terms of your mindset? I mean,
yeah, that's a good point.
Everything changed. Yeah.
Honestly, I think the pandemic is what catapulted me being fed up with myself, because, it was like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm drinking wine again. And oh my God, I just ate a cookie and like 10 cookies. Oh my God. It was just like the way I was managing my stress was drinking and eating, and then like, I don't know. I mean, it was just like my sisters and I would get together and we would just be drinking and eating. And I'd be like, I don't like this. I don't feel, this isn't me. Like, this is not who I am. Like, I don't want to be in this stuck. And so I think I decided after coming out of COVID, like, I want to be proactive at like becoming my best self. What does that mean? Better self-care, like make date night, like setting aside time with my husband and myself, intentional time with my children. And I'm going to get this diet thing figured out, because I don't want to yo-yo. I don't want to like binge, and I don't want to like restrict. I want to be like solid. I want to be solid with my like my meals. I want to eat with my family. I want to be very like, and have a cookie every now and then. Like I don't need to go to extremes, and I don't need to drink wine every other day. Like it's okay. So it really made me accountable. I think COVID made me decide to no longer teeter and to just go. You know what I mean? As before, I was just like, it'll be fine. I'll deal with it later. Like it made me like decide that this is a priority.
Was everyone supportive when you announced this is the direction you're going?
I kind of make my mind up, and then I figure out all the pieces and all the steps before I make an announcement. I kind of tell Jay, my husband, I tell him, this is what I'm thinking. But yeah, for the most part, everyone was supportive. I think my parents were, when I told them I was doing a show, and my mom was like shocked. I'm so proud of you. Like, cause she knows I'm like always buttoned up and covered, like, and so she was like, you're owning it. Like, yes. I think she was very proud to see me kind of, have more confidence, because I've lacked it forever.
Zvi just chatted in a question, and I happen to know that your kids, I know they were at the first competition. I'm sure, are they continuing to go with you to all of them? And what's the impact been on them and their approach to food and exercise? Just in general, what's the impact been on them?
So in our house, we don't talk about diet. We just say strong muscles. Like we talk about like things like that. We don't talk about we talk about, getting your protein in, you know what I mean? And having a good breakfast. Like I grew up where my mom always talked about dieting, you know what I mean? And like was very critical of herself. Like we don't body shame. We don't do anything like that in our house. It's just kind of a rule that we've always had, because I know how susceptible children are to picking up things, because I probably picked up stuff in our house. But they know that I did my competitions. The first actually one they didn't go to, they went to the last one I did. I did 3 shows last year. They went to the last show because it was pretty close to here. So I kind of felt like I needed to feel the first show. I was like, I just don't like, I wasn't, you're scary. You're being in stage is scary. Like, and half dressed is like, you're half naked, basically, like it's scary. So but like the third show, I felt like, okay, I'm more comfortable. And we had many conversations about it, like what it meant, like, and they understand, like, it's people are there showing their hard work, their muscles, what they can do. And we always talk about, like, I do pull-ups, like I lift heavy weights so I can carry them like upstairs at night, or things like that. So we try to make it applicable to life, like why we do these things, why we make choices. And they know, like, sometimes before school they'll get up and ride their scooters outside, and we talk about how movement helps us feel better and start our day in a better mood, or we're more prepared to go to school and ready to listen, so we talk about activities and food in a way that's very, I don't know, like, it's just part of our life. It's part of the choices that we make.
What are some of the misconceptions that us people have about the bodybuilding world in general, and based on what you've experienced?
Misconceptions. Yeah, I think a lot of people think people do crazy diets for bodybuilding. At least that was my perception. People are like, in a way it's anorexia, like, or it's a way that it's unhealthy, but it's actually, it was the opposite for me. Like, I had to eat a lot. You know what I mean? I had to intentionally eat a lot in order to get to that point. So for me, it's the accountability to take in more, it's the accountability to drink water, because sometimes I wouldn't, so for me, it's accountability. And I don't know, it's showing up for yourself. I think some people, like, I don't know, for me, it's like a part of, like, my life I get to carve out for me. And I like that. It actually brings more balance to my life. That I have this, and I, like, me, Jake, like, I'm always going towards something. Like, I can't just do something just to do it. And I think having a goal, something you're working towards, makes you more intentional with your activity. So your workouts or whatever it is that you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's exactly why I called you my hero, because you say it so nonchalantly. Yeah, just make a choice and just go there. The rest of us are like getting lost in the details of all this and how, like, we're getting derailed all the time. You just go A to B and you achieve them. And what were the results from these competitions, by the way, for the world to hear here?
Yeah. So I really do think it is a choice. I mean, I really do. I mean, yes, it can get more difficult, especially as you get fatigued and all that stuff, but I do think it's a choice. And when you commit to that choice, anything is possible. But so my first show, I swept. I, like, won all the classes I did. I ended up getting my pro card. And then I did two pro shows. So the pro show I did was in Minnesota, the first one, and the second one was Worlds is what it was called. It was so I did that. I didn't place very high, but it's okay. I didn't really care. I was just happy to be there. And what I accomplished in the short time, that, because a lot of people were half my age. I could have been their moms. And then a lot of the girls have also been doing it for years. And so for it being my first year, our first season, first couple months of competing, I was really pleased.
And did most of the competitors have 3 children?
No, actually, a lot of them, like, I think a couple people had children, but a lot of them were in their 20s and 30s. I was for sure the oldest on stage. I know that for sure.
And so I told you all that the competitive streak would go throughout this whole call. Obviously, you're seeing that now. But Katie, you just told me yesterday, I think it was, that you're entering a new, is it a division or a league? I forget what the terminology, but can you explain where you're going next to make it more of a challenge?
Yeah, so the bodybuilding world that I'm in is natural bodybuilding. It's called NANBF, or it's basically a natural bodybuilding. I'm going to go to, it's called NPC. It's like kind of the gold standard for bodybuilding. At that level, a lot of people can take enhancements, performance enhancing drugs. I'm not, but I would be competing against people who are. But I do feel like I do think I could be competitive there. So I just feel like I'm supposed to go there. So I'm going to do it, see what happens. I might get smoked, but it's okay.
What's the time commitment like? And I guess specifically, how do you structure your day, your week, your month when you're getting ready for a competition? You have a family, you have a career, you have many businesses that you run. So what is your day-to-day like? How do you keep it all together?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I get up before everybody else. So I get up like at 4:30, sometimes 4. I like to get up and read. I read and have coffee and then I go work out. So I have like a little devotional that I do before. It's my little quiet time and then I go work out. So I either do a little bit of cardio and lift or just go lift. And like towards the end of as you get closer to shows, your cardio increases, not terribly, but just a little more. I think the hardest part is the fatigue that you experience because you're slightly in a deficit. And I get up early. So my kids are up till like 8 o'clock. So I'm like ready to go to bed when, 8 o'clock. So I think that's the hardest part. But I have to plan. So I plan out like I meal prep. So I just like I grill a bunch of chicken and then it's like, and everybody eats it, you know what I mean? And I just meal prep for our whole house and then we eat off of it like all week, but it's just it takes planning, but you make your mind up. Okay, I'm going to do it. Sundays I'm going to prep, or it's never perfect. I'm never somebody that makes it the same thing and it's all like in perfect little like food containers and like no, it's a big batch. Everybody grabs it, like everybody's eating from it, and so there's some weeks where it's easier, there's some weeks where it's not. And I've decided for my husband, sometimes he doesn't like all of the things that I eat. So we've ordered like a meal service that'll come and like deliver like pre-made meals that he can take to work. You know what I mean? So we kind of adapt to what everybody's wants and needs, but we make it work. My husband's very supportive too.
Shout out to Jay. Love Jay.
Yeah.
If you ever have a moment of weakness, I'm not going to assume that you do. What goes through your mind to continue your commitment to doing such, these activities?
Of course, there's always moments of weakness, honestly. I always like identify when I am having it's either there's like extra stress, not like very fatigued, like I'm tired, you know what I mean? Like fatigued, I'm not sleeping well, or something's going on, like a life event or work is extra stressful. But sorry, what was your question? Like, how do I manage it?
What do you say to yourself, or what are you thinking? Like, what's the why behind this to continue to do this?
Well, I mean, it's a good point. Like I tell myself if it's not fun, if it's more of a stress than something I'm enjoying, I'm not going to do it. Right. Like as long as it's something that I feel like I'm gaining something from it, then I'm going to continue to do it. If I feel like it's taking too much from me, from my family, from my work, then I'm going to stop it, but right now it doesn't. But there are moments where, like I think last prep, like towards like the end, like it was tired, and I would tell my business partner, like, man, I'm just tired. I'm just like, I'm not clear right now. Like, give me a minute. And she was very supportive. So I, more days than like, if those days outweigh the good days, then obviously it's time to take a break. Yeah. So at the end of last season, I knew it was time to take a break. My body was tired. It's time to refuel, rebuild, get more sleep.
Have you always had that, Katie, that ability to check yourself kind of at the door and say like, hold on, like I need a break here, or I'm going in the wrong direction? Or is that something you developed?
I think you develop it. I really do. I think I have a strong intuition. I think I have strong communication with my husband too, who will help keep me in check. I have a strong support team to help me as well. I think, and when I'm going too far, they'll be like, hey, bring it back in. Are you sure? So I have people who help me as well, but I do think I have a strong sense of, okay, we're out of balance here. I do think in my 42 years, like I do think I've gotten better at it. And maybe, 5 years ago would have been different, but I do think I think I'm pretty good at it now.
I'm sure there's been a lot of lessons that you've unpacked, going through everything you've been through, but specifically, what have you learned about yourself as you run towards this problem and literally in some cases won competitions that you just stepped right into? What have you learned about yourself that we can learn from as well?
I think this whole journey has really taught me that you really can't confine yourself to a box. I really believe like anything is possible. Because if you would have told me I'd be where I am right now, I would have laughed in your face. Like 5 years ago, if you would have told me I am where I am right now, like I would have thought, no way in the world. Right. Like I really believe like anything is possible. Like if you want something, you literally just have to choose. And then you do the next thing that would get you closer to that thing. Like I really believe it's one decision after, like one foot in front of the other, and you can make it happen. I really believe that.
Well, everyone can already tell Katie's not the person I call if I'm looking for an excuse. Right? If I'm looking to get out of something, I'm not calling Katie. It's too hard. Can't convince her. You've been so kind with sharing your time with us. I want you to be able to plug Virtually Yours agency. Tell us more about the virtual services you provide and a little bit how that business came together too. And I'll chat a link here in the box for everybody too.
Sure, thanks. So like Jake mentioned, Virtually Yours agency is our virtual assistant agency. We provide virtual assistants. They're all US based virtual assistants. They are oftentimes people who are really talented, like individuals who, need flexibility or looking to add something to their to their work life. And some of them have been leads of marketing departments, and like their marketing department folded, or they decided I want to work from home and have flexibility with my kids. So a lot of our virtual assistants are really talented. We vet them. We have a whole onboarding process we take them through. And we work with people in all different industries, doctors, authors, real estate, mortgage, small business owners, insurance. Kind of we have people that are in Shark Tank that we provide virtual assistants for. We have people that are global. It's kind of, we've been very, very lucky to have amazing clients, but we are very meticulous with our pairing process, meaning we don't just like give you somebody random. Like we listen to what your needs are, what your pain points are, and what you're looking for. And we really find a few virtual assistants that we think could be a good match, and we help pair you with that person. So there's an interview process, and you get to see their assets. So a resume and info form, a little video where you get to meet them before you go into an interview if you're interested in having that interview. So my business partner, Mary, and I work really hard because we believe you don't have to do it all. And we want to help you find the right person. And there's tons of talent, but it's often like, how do you find them? And how do you find them in an affordable way? And, and what if they go on maternity leave? Like we have people that can fill those gaps. You know what I mean? If you find that right person, and then we can have, we can also fill the gaps if that person needs to step away for a little bit. So we love what we do. We love helping, business owners, and we love helping, people find great connections and great relationships and partnerships.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And, obviously we want to plug to share, to pay you back for sharing your time with us. But, I think it's everyone on this call knows like who you're in business with matters. And if, I want to be in business with someone that owns a business like Katie, that is going to run through a brick wall to help me find a solution, So I urge you, if you're listening to this, if you're live here, like if you want to just have a strategy session with someone who's a brilliant entrepreneur, you just met her. So definitely connect. I put the links in the chat, and for the folks listening on the podcast, we'll put them in the notes as well. My biggest takeaway, Mike, and I'm curious what yours was. Mine was just I've never heard you say this, Katie, but just like running towards the problem. Just have this like visualization of like literally a firefighter running into a burning building to achieve something, life-changing, so that's going to stick with me. I appreciate those that choice of words and your mentality. And I've witnessed your quiet competitiveness. This is my words, not yours, because you're so kind and you're so sweet, so vulnerable. But I never mistake. There's a competitive streak. I'm not going to race you down the block. So running towards the problem. That's I love that. Mike, what were some of your takeaways?
I wrote down here, you can't confine yourself to a box. And, if you want more, then you need to do more. If you want to experience great things, then you have to do more, pedal to the metal. And I think that is a great lesson to take into your work week and into your life. So I appreciate that.
So Katie, we'll give you the final word here. And we obviously come together here to find inspiration and get ready for the week that comes. What's a piece of advice you could share with us as we're about to kind of hit the close button here and get back to our quote unquote real world? What would you have us thinking about?
When you were talking, Jake, one of the things that I always believe is when something is hard, like when you hit that brick wall or you hit something that's hard for you, like flip it around, go towards the hard. Like I really believe like whatever's hard, stay stuck in that hard, uncomfortable feeling, like stay there for a moment and realize why it's hard, why it's uncomfortable. And then you can flip it, or you can make it so it's not so hard, or you might uncover something that's actually really huge, you know what I mean? Or really like compelling and eye-opening that could change your perspective and change your life. Like I really believe that.
Well said. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Katie, thank you so much for the time tonight. Thanks for letting us share some of these photos. It's just incredible. It's just an incredible story. And I feel so privileged to be able to watch you make that. I remember when you called and said, I'm doing it. And then, win the first one. It was absolutely incredible. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm flattered. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Let me say this.